Hello, YouTube. This is part 2 on how to modify the Retevis rt97 repeater. I'm going to go into a little more detail here. I'm not going to show you how to take every screw out, but I'm going to tell you what tools you're going to need and what's the best way to do this, or the best way I think to do this. First off, we're going to need some tools. We're going to need a H6, which is a 6mm Allen wrench. Then we're going to need a H5 Allen wrench. Okay. Then you're also going to need an open end wrench. It's a 5/16. You're going to need a screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver, and also a precision regular screwdriver. You'll see why in a moment. Some string, a Sharpie black marker. Going to need that. And you're also going to need a tape measure, which you can't see. It's off camera. So the first thing you got to do, there's going to be, and I've already removed them because, like I said, I don't want to bore you to death taking this apart. But this is the 4 screws that are in the corner. You got to remove them. That's the Allen wrench you're going to need. There's a spring on them. So when you take the screws out, just be mindful of the spring. Okay? Take the 4 screws out. You need to take them all out. This thing is on a hinge. So it's on a hinge. So it opens like this. So when you get the 4 screws out, then you can open it. Now here's the thing you gotta be careful of. There's a cable. You see that cable right there? This cable is for the display. We want to unplug this because you can't open it fully. It pulls on the cable. So you can either unplug the cable or remove the 4 screws and take the circuit board out. But there's buttons on here, so just kind of be mindful of that. I'm going to remove the cable. So what they did here is they put silicone on the cable. So you're going to have to take that little precision screwdriver, the little flat blade one, and pick away this glue or silicone. Then I took my marker and I marked the cable so I know which way it goes, although this cable you can only put in one way. So we're going to pull this out like that. Now I can open it up all the way. So now we're going to lay this down. Okay, so now we got that unhooked. The next thing you want to do, and this part's important, you want to mark with your black marker here. You want to write which side is the low and which side is the high on the repeater itself. This is the duplexer, obviously. This is the duplexer. So you just trace the cables back. This cable here goes to the low, so I marked this side low. This cable here goes to the high. I marked this side high with the marker. And then obviously the cable in the middle is the antenna out. Don't need to mark that one. So mark them. Now remember in the other video I was mentioning I want to use an amplifier and I need to know how much power is actually coming out of the repeater. Well, I did that today and I'm not going to bore you with that, but it's pretty simple to do. Take your watt meter. Unscrew the low side, which is this one here. That's the transmit. Unscrew that. That's why I suggest having these wrenches, because it's kind of hard to get in there. So you unscrew that. Like I said, you don't have to, when you retighten them, you don't have to go, don't over tighten them or you'll break the connector. Unscrew that. Take your watt meter where it says transmit. Let's see if I can show you this. Transmit, that goes to this side. So we hook up the SMA cable to here. And I'm just going to kind of show you. And then this side that says antenna goes to the duplexer. Okay? Hook it up like that. Make sure you have a dummy load hooked up or a antenna. Then get a handheld and key up, and that will tell you how much power the repeater is actually putting out. In this particular one, in mine, it puts out 11.1 watts. Now, just because mine does that doesn't necessarily mean yours will be 11.1 too. Yours might be 9 watts. It might be 12 watts. Best to check. Because if you feed this amplifier with too much power, you're going to burn it up. This can only take between 2 to 7 watts if I remember correctly. So I'm going to have to use the software. I'm going to have to hook this repeater up to the computer and go in the software and turn this down. And I don't remember if it has high, medium, low, or just high and low. I hope it has high, medium, low, because this repeater puts out, the output of this repeater depends on what's being fed into it. So the more you get closer to the 7 watt range, then it's going to be closer to 40 watts output. So I'm hoping I'm hoping the software has high, medium, low, and then when I do medium, it's like 6 watts or something, or 5 watts. That would be great. But that's a whole nother video. We're not going to do that now, but you just got to make sure you check that. Do not hook this up to an amplifier without turning this down, unless your amplifier can handle the input wattage. So, with that being said, now the next step is we got to determine how we're going to do this. Now, there's a lot of ways you can do this. You could take all this out, even the display. You could take the display out. You could take the power supply, filtering board out. You can take the repeater board out and build a whole new box for your duplexer and your amplifier. You put all of it in one box. You can make it out of wood. You can make it out of metal. It don't matter. Well, I may do that later, but for now, I'm not going to do that until I see how everything works. So the easiest way to do this is we're going to remove this duplexer, and if you notice on the repeater, there's plugs. There's some here. There's some here. These silver plugs. I think it's best to just remove a plug and have the cables go in and out this way. So that's what I think we should do. That way we can still use this cover, close it up, then you have your cables coming out of this plug. Yes, if you remove this plug, you'll have a hole, so this will not be water resistant no more. But you can always fill the hole up or do whatever you have to do. Or maybe, like I said in another video, put all this in a plastic tote, those plastic totes that you can get at Walmart or something. But at any rate, but that's I think is the best way. And to do that, all you have to do is there's going to be 4 Phillips screws on this duplexer. Okay? So, we're just going to take, and I'm just going to kind of show you here. We're going to move this cable. We're going to pop this duplexer out because I think we can go through this way with all our cables to hook up to here. So we're going to get the Phillips screwdriver here. We're going to have to remove these cables so I can get to the Phillips screws. Looks like there's one here, and one up there, and one there. So we're just going to do this. We're going to remove this. And this is the high side. This is the receive side. Just take that off. Then we got to remove the antenna one. Because we won't be, if you're going to switch duplexers, you won't be using this antenna. You'll be using the antenna on the duplexer. So we're going to take that off. Now we got those out. Now we're going to pop these screws out here. And this duplex can only handle 10 watts. So technically, what's interesting is my meter reads it putting out about 11 watts. So technically, this is putting out more wattage than what the duplexer is rated for. Now, would that extra watt, eventually cause problems? Possible. I mean, I guess time will tell. But in this case, I'm not going to be using this duplexer. I'm going to hang on to it just in case if I don't go back to stock. And this is what's nice about doing it this way. We're not drilling holes. We can go back to the stock configuration. So let's move this duplexer over here. So now we got this cable. We don't need, that's the antenna. Now I want to see if this plug, I'm going to see if my idea will work. Can I feed cables into here? So let's pull this plug out, and I've already loosened it. The good news is it's not glued in, at least not on mine. And they actually put a O-ring on it. So that's kind of good. So now, let's see. Can we fit the cables through? Oh yeah, look at that. So we can fit cables through quite easily. We can do this cable. So that's not a problem. So that's going to work out really good. So here's the question. You're probably thinking, well, what type of cable and how long and whatnot? Well, that's going to depend on how you want to lay this out. You can lay this out many different ways. You could lay it out like this. You could take this. Let's move that screw. You could take this duplexer, set this up here, run the cables to here like this, screw them in this way. But the key thing is though to remember to keep these cables as short as possible. The shorter the cables are, the better. So you can do it like that. That's one way of doing it. And I'm going to sit and play with this. I'm not going to do this on camera because I don't want to bore you to death. I'm just giving you ideas. But so you can run that through there. You can hook it up this way. And then if you mark these, you'll know how they go because you already have it marked with the marker. So you can go that way. Or another way you could do it, I suppose, is you could, let's take these out. You could do it this way. You could close this up. You could run them like this. Have this be this way because we want the cables coming out. Leave a little bit of space for heat. And then in my case, the amplifier would go like this. And we could do something like that. Just remember, we need space here for the power connector on the amplifier. And power connectors and whatnot. So you could go that route and just run your cable that way. So that's one way of doing it. Now the best way, once you figure out how you want to lay this out, you got to figure out how long a cable you're going to need. Well, that's where the string comes in. So let's just, for an example, let's go ahead and set this duplex. Let's say I want to run it like this. Let's just say I want to run it like this, just for demonstration purposes to kind of give you an idea. I want to run it like this. I want to mount this onto a board, and I'm going to have it lay out like this. Well, that's where the string comes in. You take your string and cut off a piece and figure out what length you need. So in this case, if I open this up and I feed the string through the hole here that we took that plug out, and we kind of put some tape on there and kind of held it in place, you can kind of get an idea. Okay, I want to go to low, so we're going to go over here. We're going to need like this. We're going to have the cable sit in here like this, and then we'll have it go to here like that. Now you can cut your string and measure it with your tape measure, and I'll kind of give you an idea the length of cable you're going to need. Now, for cables, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do it, you could buy cable. Now the cable you're going to need to hook to this is an SMA male. So one end of the cable has got to be an SMA male to hook to this. On the other end, it's going to depend on what you have to hook it to. Let's move this string. In this example, with mine, this duplexer uses a N connector. So I need a male N connector. So I could either do it two ways. I can order a a cable that has SMA male connectors on each end, then get an adapter, and then screw it on that way, like that. Or you can order cables with the ends already on them. Like in this particular cable, I have an SMA and I have a male PL52 connector on it. So then I don't need the adapter. So it just depends on what you want to do it. Yeah, there's going to be some loss with the adapters, but like I said, it just depends on how you want to do it. So that's what you got to do with the cables. And the string will help you tell you what the length you need. So I think that is about it. I hope that kind of gives you an idea of how to do this. Like I said, most important is a mark with the marker right away, so you know which is high and which is low. And if you forget to do it, it's not the end of the world. If you got a power meter, low is going to be the transmit, so you can always hook up a power meter. Just make sure you got a dummy load hooked up or an antenna on the repeater part. And then what I did too is, I think I mentioned that earlier in the video, but I marked this connector. This connector can only go on one way. You'll see it when you do it. But yeah, so that is I think, in my opinion, probably one of the easier ways of doing this. Just got to figure out the cables. So hopefully this video will help. And if you have any questions or comments, please post them down below. Please subscribe. Thank you and have a good day.